What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. So, Volume 1 of the final season of Stranger Things has wrapped up, and quite an eventful episode it was. It is pretty clearly the Empire Strikes Back of the volume so far, because boy, when we leave our heroes at the end of this episode, there is all kinds of chaos going on, all kinds of crazy shit all around, both in the real world and the upside down. But here to talk about it with me, of course, is my Heavy Life Mage Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I'm just tired of all this damn snow. And then every year I always ask myself, why am I still here? And, you think I would learn, but I never do. So I don't
know. Yeah, we're glutton for the punishment. I mean, we can go live someplace where it's insanely expensive and nice all year, or we can, pay decent housing and living expenses and work and live in a place where the weather's shitty for 8-9 months out of the year. But whatever. Such is the way of the world, I guess. Yeah, such is the way of the world. But let's see who's here so far. Hello, BJ. How are you doing today? Good to see you as always. I hope you kept up on Stranger Things. You were treated to a batshit insane episode, just like everybody else was. I mean, and there was only one way this episode was going to go. It was going to go balls out, because we know how the last one ended, with the Demogorgon on the move to where they were keeping the fat kid. So, I mean, Jeremy, let's get right down into it. We'll start with the Demogorgon attacking them at the farmhouse, and boy, what a wild opening to the episode that was. One Demogorgon causing all kinds of chaos. Give me your thoughts on that scene, how it all broke down. Mama Byers stepping up with the axe right there, which is very cool. Being kind of a badass. Dude, she's hit a level of badass that is pretty insane a couple times over the course of this episode, even at the end. But give me your thoughts on that scene. How crazy was it to start that way?
I mean, we've seen these Demogorgons before, but man, they have a ferocity this season that's we understand that, like, they're really not something to be trifled with, even just one on its own. And it's Winona Ryder, obviously, but I think at least 2 times in this episode does just go full mama bear, trying to, and it's like, man, I want to root for you, but I'm like, this thing is it could just like swipe you just once across the face, and they're like, that's it. But I'm sitting there with some of these characters, like, please don't die. Like, I know we've said it a few times. We're like, I'm waiting for somebody may not make it out of this, but thankfully she did. That's one hell of an opening, because that's where we left off. And this, I think, as Steve would do, they just kind of hit the gas and just go for it, as it were. And that's what this episode did. I don't think it let off the gas too much. Yeah, and that's one hell of an opening. And it's also, you're kind of wondering. Well, we'll get into what's going on with Will, because Will keeps seeing through the Demogorgon's eyes too, like what they're up to. So you're also like, I like that Joyce is stepping up, but like, if she swings this thing, it's like, you might end up hurting your son in the process or something, because he's, kind of intrinsically tied to these things, since they're in this hive mind mentality. So, we'll get into it again, but like, if this is what one Demogorgon can do, imagine if there was like 10 of them. This is pretty wild.
Or 5 or 6 of them that we'll see, at the end of the episode. But I mean, one Demogorgon wrecks shop all on their own. They're almost impossible to stop. And man, that last scene, well, that was some kind of chaos. I thought that scene was a great start to what was going to be the final episode of this volume. Like I said, this episode really does kind of end like Empire Strikes Back. It's like the great thing about that ending, why everybody refers to the middle part of a trilogy or the one movie in the franchise that really kind of sets up the finale. It's always called the empire of that franchise. This is the empire of this franchise, is because, I mean, it's just chaos from start to finish. You don't know where people are going to end up. I've been saying for a while that there's going to be at least one or two significant deaths, and I really thought we would get one in this episode. For the first few minutes, I was wondering if we were going to get one in the first 5 or 10 minutes of this episode, which would have been a crazy way to start things. We didn't, but yeah, I thought it was a crazy way to start this episode. I mean, obviously you've got the fat kid freaking out, trying to figure out how to get out or what the hell's going on. They finally let him in on it. We'll talk about fat kid undercover here in a minute, but yeah, it's such a crazy start to this episode. It really was. It really was kind of the peak of action and everything like that. There's so much story that is in this franchise overall that sometimes the action doesn't get overlooked, but you can kind of forget at times that this is an action franchise at its core, because sometimes the story is just so damn good. But yeah, it was a fantastic story. I love seeing Joyce pick up that axe, just say screw it, I'm fighting Demogorgon with an axe. I mean, it's one thing for one of the four friends who have been attached to this thing literally from the very beginning, for one of them to try to fight one. But I mean, she's relatively new to the fight, only really having come into it like last season. So, well, physically in the same space with the Demogorgons and Vecna and all the things that he sends out in the world to deal with. But yeah, she was, dare I say it, because of Linda Hamilton's presence, she was turning into a little bit of a Sarah Connor at some point. At some point, and I did get some other Sarah Connor flashbacks. I don't know if you saw they just released a trailer, I guess, yesterday for the Volume 2. And Nancy gets a little bit of Sarah Connor vibe going in that trailer. I don't know if you saw it or not, but she pops out of a Bearcat, and she's got I forget what kind of gun. It was like an M1 or an M16 or something, and she's got grenade bandoliers across her chest. And I'm like, wow, you're channeling Sarah Connor right now, which is fantastic. But again, no significant deaths yet. Tex, of course, says that Hopper should have died this episode, and Mike's parents should have died in the first episode. We don't know what happened to Mike's parents. I mean, they could be dead for right now, for all we know. True. So, I mean, we may end up hearing about that kind of in an epilogue. I mean, but Hopper's not going to die this early. I feel like if he dies, it's going to be in the final battle with Vecna, and that's going to be something that kind of feeds El into really just going over the top and really going after Vecna. I feel like that's where he dies, if he dies at all. But who knows?
We kind of already did do the rug pull by doing that, what was that, last season or some shit? And they were like, hey, just kidding, he's in Russia. It's like, well, now if you kill him, now it's going to kind of feel underwhelming, because you already let us sit on that for a while.
Well, killing him...
It's like with Glenn in Walking Dead. You're like, oh, he fell off the dumpster and died. Like, oh, okay. No, he's alive. Guess what? Oh, we're going to kill him 2 episodes later. I'm like, what the hell was the point?
It's different when you make people think that Hopper died at the gate at the end of season 3, because you knew there was more Stranger Things coming. So anybody who's ever watched a TV show of any genre at any time in television history kind of knew that he's not really dead. There's going to be something that brings him back. I mean, whether it be time travel or whatever the hell magical bullshit they were going to pull. We weren't done seeing Hopper yet, but yeah, I mean, this time you got to figure there's no more Stranger Things coming after this season is over with. So deaths are going to be permanent. And I feel like if you're going to kill Hopper, if he's going to die, he's going to die somewhere in the final battle with Vecna. I feel him and maybe a couple others. I don't know. I mean, there might be another significant one between episode 5 and whatever the final battle is going to look like. But
they built it up. They still built it up in this one even too, where I was kind of convinced, with the way it was playing out. I'm like, oh my god, dude, he might actually die. I thought, oh Jesus, the way it was played up. Again, I've seen a fucking show, I've seen a movie before, and I'm like, this is kind of heavy-handedly being like, oh yeah, he's actually straight up just gonna, sacrifice himself, and he just opens the door like, oh yeah, JK. Like, all right.
Well, I mean, he even we'll talk about that in a second when we get to to them taking on the base, but. Let's see, what did I want to go to next? One of the very interesting looks of this episode was the military rounding up the kids. Tex says it all the time, fuck them kids. And I kind of agree for the most part. But for a show like this, putting the kids in harm's way it's different. I mean, we're used to seeing, like I said, these friends, Mike and all his guys at L, because they've kind of been in the mix of this shit since the beginning. But all the kids of a certain age, I think I forget what they said, between like 9 and 11 or something like that, or between 9 and 12, are all being targeted by Vecna. Apparently, they figured it out. So they're trying to stash away all these kids in their own military dorm and just kind of picking up from around town, which is interesting. What do you think about that storyline? And was it off-putting? Was it weird to you, or do you think it just fit in?
It makes sense because it also had the ulterior motive of like what we heard Linda Hamilton say, that like, her lieutenant or something realized like, oh, or you're just using these kids as bait basically. And he even tries to stand up to her a little bit, or but she gets in his face like, what, like you don't think you can protect them? And it's like, what do you even say to that? Because he's kind of trying to tell her like, this is kind of unethical. You're gonna sit here and use a bunch of kids to further whatever plan you have here, under the guise of like that we're trying to actually protect the kids. I think even the I don't even know what the guy that's been like pursuing them for like the past like 2 seasons or whatever the shit, who was looking for L, who's looking for the doctors, even seems like, oh yeah, well, we're just trying to help them, and now you just ruined that. It's like, do you even know what's going on? It makes sense because like this whole thing, as we've come to learn with Vecna, is like it's hinging on these kids that he's trying to kidnap, because he's on like a snowball path of we saw Will when had his vision of, he saw Holly and 2 other kids, but there were still empty spires, and it's like, oh, he took 1 and then he took 2 more, and now it's like, oh, now he's gonna have 8, 9, 10, 12 of them. So at least the kids have the idea of like, well, maybe we should actually try to keep these kids alive, whereas the military is like, yeah, we're just gonna set them out here dangling on a string and see what happens. So makes sense.
What did you think of the plan that they hatched to use a fat kid undercover to go in there and identify these kids? First off, I'm jealous of that. I'm jealous of that old school GI Joe lunchbox. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had fun a lot like that when I was young in the '80s. But if I could find something like that, I would most certainly buy it. But yeah, I mean, that all leads to the plan that they come up with of sending in douchebag Daryl, whatever the hell his name is, and
dipshit Derek.
Yeah, dipshit Derek. Same thing. It all rolls off the tongue the right way. But using him to go in there undercover, try to identify these certain kids, and then try to figure out a way to get them away from Vecna. Did that work for you? Was it a bit foolish? Because I thought that at first I was kind of like, what the hell are they doing? And then I realized I was like, well, you work with what you got, and what you got is, fat kid. So you may as well. I thought it was weird that he took kind of a face turn all in the span of an episode. But I mean, what do you think of that whole rescue scene using the tunnels and all that?
Well, first of all, I mean, you don't think they're probably going to market that GI Joe box? I mean, let's be honest here. That would probably sell pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of, I guess it is kind of the beggars can't be choosers, but they at least have somebody that they know is being targeted by Vecna. So he's, I guess, kind of almost unknowingly being bait himself. And he doesn't really have much of a choice. And I'm thinking maybe his turning heel is that, I mean, he did also come face to face with the Demogorgon as well in the beginning of the episode, and that might light a little bit of a fire under your ass, like, oh, they were telling the truth that this thing is actually coming to kill me. So yeah, I don't know, he doesn't really have much of a choice with this, but with them knowing that that's their demographic that the military is taking, it's like you could probably let this kid waltz up there and be like, hey, so like there's no one at school. He's like, I don't know what to do here, So, and it's a kid, so it's like they're probably like, yeah, get in here. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why are you out here? And and it kind of works. There, I don't know if there was something in it for him, but still, it as we know, and as again, I'm still thinking about how this is D&D. I'm like, yep, you can always have a plan, and it will still go sideways. But no matter how well you plan it out, but that's kind of your guy on the inside, and that's probably the only way they could have done that. I don't know who else would have been able to. I mean, anyone else, anyone older, anyone that they knew, or is probably supposed to either be dead or undercover. So that's all you got.
You can't really send what's his name's sister in there for your name. You can't really send her in there, Erica. You can't send her because she's not in the right age group, and she probably would have sassed the guards a little too much anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so I totally got it. Like I thought it was a fun. One of the things I really thought was fun was like the whole Great Escape aspect of it all.
Robin.
Fucking Robin was trying to explain the Great Escape. I don't know if you caught this or not, but the music that's kind of playing in the background is the theme from the movie Great Escape. Yeah. but yeah, so the fact there's already these tunnels there, it just so happens there's one that happens to run right under that building where the kids are being held. Again, whatever. I'm let it go my disbelief. But I thought
we'd have luck at some point. Like, oh, this just happened to work there because nothing else has ever worked for us ever. At least this did.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not like they haven't. I mean, look, the fact that they've even dug all those tunnels. How long? It hasn't been that long from when season 4 ends to when season 5 starts. I think she mentions it early in the first or second episode, but I can't remember that how long it was.
It was spring of '86 in season 4. Now this is like November of '87. So it's been a year and a half, maybe.
God, like a year and a half to dig that intricate tunnel system underneath Hawkins. That's a lot of work. I mean, whatever. Well, I'm suspending disbelief because it works for me watching the show, but I mean, still.
Well, I thought they already had that before, didn't they? Then like the like in season 2 or something shit. Like they were following. There was already like these tunnels that were underneath Hawkins that were dug by the not the Demogorgons, but it's like I swear there was already something like underneath the town or something that was going on from before, because then they found ways in and out of the or was there ways in and out of the upside down from there? I don't remember.
I'd have to go back.
I remember like Hopper going in there and he got like entrapped by something. Like, I swear, unless I'm misremembering something.
You know, now that you mention it, there was already some underground stuff that happened like the last season. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to go back and watch. I'm drawing a blank. But you mentioned Will doing his whole painting his mosaic. This was the big moment of exposition for this episode, when Will, right before the Demogorgons show up to wreak havoc, Will painting his vision, doing a lot more explaining as to exactly what's going on to the rest of the people. Because everybody here except for Will in this scene is relatively new to this whole issue of Vecna and the Upside Down. So giving them this exposition and kind of pushing the story farther along was an interesting scene. What do you think of this scene, and what do you think what did you learn from that was very new to the situation that they find themselves in this season?
Well, I think it's what's being laid out is like the sheer scale, like I mentioned earlier, the sheer scale of like what Vecna's trying to do. That, I mean, even that gives kind of a really eerie, backdrop. But like Will painted this over the entire like barn door. That like, yeah, he's got plenty of these like spires that he's trying to use to feed off of all the children that he's trying to take. And I know it ties in kind of with this whole thing. We'll a little later when we learn with Dustin, like when he finds out like what the wall is kind of about. But it's like, yeah, if this is the the big hoorah at the end, it's like, holy shit. Because I'm still wondering, like, how is this guy being Henry like managing to do this? Because we do know he's obviously a pretty powerful like dark wizard, but dear God, and it is still always in the back of my head where I'm like, So how do you guys get out of this, or how do you get around it? Because that's what I'm curious about. I need to fix
Well,
my monitor. No.
yeah, Dustin does kind of come up with a big piece of information that could be something. I'm sure probably will be something very important in the future when he realizes exactly where this wall is, and then it's encircling one central point. And he, of course, finds out that at the center of this giant circle is where this all began, the lab in
Of
Hawkins.
course.
And this wall in the upside down is encircling this area. The way that he words it, it kind of answers a question that I've had this season. How big is the upside down? I think the idea that he puts forward, the way he words it, is that the upside down is only as big as this circle.
It's like
I,
Hawkins,
I,
yeah.
I don't know how that would work if there were gates that they had found in Russia that they could get a Demigorgon, because it's not like the Russians came here, captured it, or maybe they did. I just don't know it. They didn't. They came here, captured a Demigorgon in Middle America, 1980s in Hawkins, Indiana, and somehow got it back to Russia or Siberia, or wherever the hell they were, and were using it to play games with these prisoners. I don't know if I mean. I don't. That doesn't work for me, but that doesn't math in my head. But that's what I think he says. But bottom line is, I mean, it's all happening very localized. Apparently, what do you think of that revelation that maybe the upside down isn't as big as we thought it was?
Well, I think it's just that there. It may not necessarily mean that there is just a one-to-one, upside down versus the right side up. It may just be that there's a gate between the two, like between the lab and Hawkins, and then like say wherever the hell they were in Russia. It may just be like a tunnel, like a wormhole, so to speak, that just goes there. And it's not that it necessarily means that's where it originates from, is the lab. That may be where like all points lead to, and that's kind of just like, I wondered if it was just kind of, it may have been expanding, but it's like it's at least just it made this alternate dimension of Hawkins, because that's where it started from. And it may just be tunnels going to other places. It can just kind of spider out and branch out to other places. I don't know. I kind of thought like that would be insane if it was just an actual alternate dimension that was, again, just a one for one, like, of what Earth would be like, because there's a lot of potential there. But it kind of keeping it, I guess, contained to Hawkins it makes sense. Well, in essence, I know we had that Demogorgons in Russia, but I don't know. I wasn't sure that it was going to be that massive, because like when Hopper and Dustin were talking to each other on the radio, saying like, "Oh yeah, well, you guys hit a wall. Like we came up to a wall too, but we're on this side of town." And he's like, "Yeah, we were over here by the cemetery." And they're like, "Oh, that's on the other side of town." Like, what the hell? Yeah, there's this poor fucking Beamer. I know it's, in the grand scheme of things, it had a hole drilled through the roof, but man, it just smacked into like a living wall of God knows what in the upside down, and it's kind of stuck now.
I guess we could say that was technically the first death of this season. Is that Beamer was the first the first casualty? Because I don't see them. I don't see them driving that thing out of that upside down rift that was in that silo and getting it back out.
Yeah, they hit that pretty hard, so I don't know. I know the lights are still on, and I think Dustin was even kind of using the dish on top a little bit, because I think he went to like rotate it. He was trying to listen to something, or which is how he found out. Like, he had that brainwave of like, oh, this is how big this wall apparently is, and maybe it was me, but I was like, I don't think this is just a flat wall. To me, I was like, I feel like this is like, because I kept having that like Tranquility Lane kind of like idea in my head that I'm like, it's probably this like contained like circle, this and inside of that is what, well, I think, again, this is a great segue into like what Max was talking about, that it's a memory of something. I didn't think it was just some big straight line wall. I'm like, no, it's got to be like encasing something, and the kids aren't really there, so to speak. It's that they're minds are elsewhere.
Yeah, that's what I had thought. Is I thought that like where Max was hiding out was something that was on the other side of this wall. That maybe that she was trapped there in that area that he had created as a prison. But now, of course, we know that it's a circle that's encasing everything, and where Max is not necessarily. She's in more of a mental, spiritual kind of prison more than like a physical one in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to know that they've finally given some scale to the Upside Down, because if that's as big as it is, I mean, how tall is the wall? We've never really seen the height. We know that it's tall enough to, be that tall as it looks, but I mean, is it 30,000 feet tall? Is it 500 feet tall? How high does it go? Because the military doesn't seem to try to fly helicopters over it.
I was about to say
helicopters right up to it. So
we saw them have helicopters, and I'm like, they never once tried to like fly over it, because I don't buy that for a second. Unless it's maybe like a half like a dome shape or something to where they can't get in. I don't know. Or it could, I mean, if it is upside down, maybe it is just, it could be so high that they probably couldn't fly a helicopter over it anyway, like as if like you're going into the into the friggin' stratosphere of this upside down. So I don't know. There's obviously some reason, unless they didn't think about that they do have like helicopters and aircraft there's means of getting in there, but allegedly not.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me until I was watching the scene at the end, and dude pulls the flamethrower out and starts roasting, demigorgons and stuff. They seem to have figured out a way to manipulate that gate at will. So they do something to open it up, and they use the flamethrowers to make sure it doesn't close back up, and then they drive their equipment and whatever through it. So they seem to have figured out a way to manipulate that gate without having to have Vecna around, or a Demigorgon around, or somebody with some kind of powers around, which is interesting to me. That didn't occur to me until I was watching this episode. I was like, wait a minute, how do they just kind of walk in and out of that thing?
I mean, maybe a gate, it may be a little different than like the wall itself. That could be being held together with a different, probably more powerful magic, again, coming from Vecna. Yes. That is a cool shot. Them just gassing it right into the gate that came out of that silo. Yeah, it's like a what do you say, a peanut butter bopper? Like the what, Steve? Oh yeah, it may look might be all hard and crunchy on the outside, but it's all soft and gooey on the inside. And they're like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, I know what this scene is. I know what this scene's meant to be, but I'm like, guys, stop yapping and gun it. Like, what do you? Just go with it, I guess. Jesus, I'm like, we're gonna barely scrape through this thing. And I mean, I know they open up kind of like a zipper, but I'm like, but you're telling me they didn't lose the dish on top? Okay, whatever. We saw it like clip a side mirror, but like, okay, just suspension of disbelief, I guess.
Well, I mean, we're already suspending disbelief to think that some like interdimensional monster is trying to steal kids. So I mean, at this point, we're just taking it all with a grain of salt, just having fun with it. But
yeah,
mentioned it earlier. We get a lot of Max in this one, and boy, the big exposition dump as to why she is in the position she is in, like her physical body laying in the hospital bed, and her spirit, I guess, locked up in Vecna's memory prison. Boy, that was some serious explanation as to what, as to at least what has been going on with Max this entire season so far. What do you think of this scene, and what is there a revelation that Max gives us as viewers that really shocked you?
I was gonna say that this scene between Max and Holly was actually pretty cool. I think the thing that was, I mean, because we were wondering like where. I mean, Max herself is even like, she's not really quite sure either. Cause I mean, Holly even asked her and she's kind of like, I was like, aren't you like dead or like not here? And she's like, that's a great question. It's like, yeah, I think she's been trying to, it's like, that's fair. I mean, she's trying to figure it out as well. And I like her explanation of the, like 3 doors, like, where you can either off yourself, accept your fate, or try to escape. And that's what this was when she got there and she tried to escape because she still heard Kate Bush. She still heard the music coming through. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was like, when I was gonna mention it, I was like, man, and that shit was just heartbreaking as hell. Because I'm like, that she doesn't make it, but I'm like, goddamn, she said, she's like, I was that close. Like it was right there, and that Lucas hadn't given up on her and was still playing Kate Bush on repeat, trying to get her back, and she worked her way through all these memories, and it was interesting because it was like going through Vecna's or Henry's mind of things from the past, like from the 50s. I think we actually saw young Joyce, which was interesting, and Steve's parents. So that was kind of a cool, well, not cameo, but a cool little tidbit. And that gate was right there, and it sucks that like she was about to get through, and then Lucas had to stop the tape and rewind, and it just closed on her. And of course, here comes Vecna, chase her down, and she got chased through there. Now, what I want, maybe not so much a revelation, but I want to know, like, she ran all that way back past the Creel house and into those caves where we see her, where Holly sees her, rather. And it is just a weird, like, force field or like some line that Vecna won't cross, and he just stops there and just stares at her. That I was like, I hope you, because that, I mean, again, you talking about people that act with their eyes and with their face, and I'm like, he does still portray this like anger, but this just absolute, unwillingness to go in that cave, because there's something about it. And even Max says, like, there's something about that cave for some reason in this memory that he won't go in there. And I'm like, I kind of want to know what that is. Like, something that even stops him. Like, what could that possibly be? Like, what happened? That even in this memory that seems like this era frozen in time of, like, his house when it was still pristine, or his neighborhood, still all lush and green, but there's still something about like the dark edges of this like memory where this cave where Max has been hiding out because he won't go in there. Like, what about that was what's keeping him from going in there? So, but it gives Max time to kind of ponder this and make, as she says, makes it her home. I just kind of accepted my fate for the time being until she saw Holly. So,
yeah, you're right. He emotes so brilliantly in this scene. As the camera zooms in on his face,
how do you do anger, but then also like absolute just terror? I'm like,
he moves from the anger and sternness, like you kind of see in this picture of him getting ready to go do whatever he's going to do to Max, to, oh, wait a minute, I'm facing this thing that truly terrifies me, and what is it? That's the one question you're left with. But you can tell by the expression on his face when he emotes like that he is 100% terrified of wherever she is at. And I feel like they kind of, the inference is that he knows the memories are in there, and the memories are what are one of his weak points, because they kind of make him uneven. He feels vulnerable, because he generally doesn't like to feel vulnerable. So why go into these, like, whatever, the memory of him being in that play that she finds the flyer of, and the memory of whatever the hell happened at the lab, because Max talks about waking up in that area that we saw prior to when Elle kind of loses her shit and kills all the kids. Or actually, it wasn't her that did it.
It was Henry that did it.
Yeah, but waking up in that and going through his flurry of emotion and memories and stuff like that. I feel like that's that's where he kind of tucked those things away mentally, and that's what he's afraid of, is all this shit popping off the way, all this shit that makes him vulnerable, and he's trying to avoid that by packing away in this cave, and her hiding in there is kind of like the one place he can't go without becoming someone that even Max, in her relatively fragile human state, can defeat. So that was kind of my take on it all. I'm sure they'll explain it more as the rest of the season comes out, but yeah, that was a very interesting reaction for him when he walks up there, and he is genuinely terrified as to the way that area makes him feel, or whatever he sees was it definitely had a big effect on him. But
that's also something that happened in WandaVision, because didn't I say that this kind of feels like when Wanda had the town just kind of under her own spell, which is insane amount of power. But didn't she also kind of do that? Like, she went back through like her childhood memories, like bit by bit, figuring out like, oh, this is like when my parents died. This is when I was, radicalized. Here's when the Sokovia shit happened. Here's, like going through the same like memories of like things that happened to her that were, probably pretty traumatizing.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why her whatever the hell she was doing over the course of that series, why it takes the form of like the sitcoms, because that's what she had grown up watching. They
That's
talked
the
about in
happy
prior
thing.
movies and stuff, and so that's how she was visualizing her trauma was through the lens of the sitcom. So through
Yeah.
these, the episodes through the years, from like the I Love Lucy style
There's still
stuff
dark
to the
corners.
more modern stuff. So yeah, it's something
Very
similar to
similar.
that. Yeah, but yeah, that was a really big. That was a really big reveal, is that there is his kryptonite is out there somewhere, because they refer to the whole Sonic cannon, Hulk cannon thing being her kryptonite. His kryptonite is in that cave somewhere, and I think it alludes to those memories and stuff. And I think somehow Max is going to carry those with her. And when she
I
finally gets her
wonder if
shot at
Max knows
Vecna,
something.
I don't know if she knows it right now, but I have a feeling that it might be one of those things where, like in the final battle, it's going to come up and she's going to walk out there and say, "Hey, remember being in the play and whatever?" And he's going to be like, "Get away from me with your bullshit memories." And then it's going to be the one thing that kind of weakens him. And then they're going to throw water on him, and he's going to be like, "I'm melting." And it's going to have that kind
Right.
of. He's going to have that kind of response. It's going to make him vulnerable to attacks from people like Elle and Will. Now that apparently he's one of the chosen one, we'll get to that in a second. But the other thing I really thought was cool was them finally kind of taking the base. I Part of me was just like, why are you gonna do it? But I guess Elle and Hop decided it'd be a good idea to try to get into this base. It went exactly the way that you kind of thought it would. I still don't know why Hop would do something so incredibly stupid. Now, this sequence gave us something that was very needed for this series, something that it's been needing for a long time. It finally gave Hopper and Elle one of those scenes where they kind of come together emotionally. Like he finally gives in, is like, okay, fine, I'm gonna let you jump the fence and sneak us into the base. And right before he does that, he's finally just like, okay, I'll let you talk me into it. I trust you. Let's just go. And then when she jumps in there and she gets the key to let him in, when he walks in there and he's just like, I just want you to know I'm proud of you. You've grown. You're right. You've become everything I needed you to be to help defeat this threat and to be the person you needed to be. Having that moment when they were walking into the base, I thought was very, very important. And then obviously the really super emotional one later on, as they're trying to he's trying to get Elle to leave so he can handle whatever he's got to handle. We'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, that whole infiltrating the base scene, again, it kind of went the way I thought it was going to go. What did you think about that entire sequence? Because it's the one part that I've really been looking forward to so far this season.
As I said earlier in the episode where 11 does end up in the Upside Down and comes across Hopper, I said it had like a Joel and Ellie kind of vibe, and they kind of do. And especially that scene, like when they're right outside the base trying to figure out like how should we approach this. It again does have some reminiscent beats of one of my favorite scenes from The Last of Us from the first game, which I think they kind of even did it in the show, where they approach like there's a bunch of not in this case it's soldiers, and there's a bunch of like bandits or whatever in this town, and they're up high watching them, and Joel's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go down there and we'll take these guys out, and Ellie's like, no, this is stupid. It'd be so much easier if you let me help you. And then he finally has that like turning moment where he's like, I am. He kind of goes like, okay, I'm gonna trust you here. And he gives her the rifle and shows her like, okay, this is how you shoot it. This is how you reload. This is what you do. So if I run into trouble, you make sure you make every shot count and just keep yourself safe. Like, I'm trusting you on this. Finally has that moment of like, maybe you are, be able to help me here, and I can't do all this by myself. So it's still, if anyone knows what I'm talking about, that scene, that's a really cool scene between the two of them, where it's like you kind of, again, don't really have much of a choice, and you have, and in Hopper's case, you have somebody who is obviously, super powered, basically, even though she does have, the military does have this Sonic the Hedgehog emitter, whatever the hell it was called, that can stop her. So it's like, yeah, there is that possibility, but I mean, if you're gonna lead with your first neck and snap people's necks just by tilting her head to, which that was pretty funny. She goes up to that guard. I mean, I know she said she can time the jumps with the thunder, and she does it once and then just stomps down the fucking roof. I'm like, no one hears that though, really?
Yeah.
Whatever, show, I'll let you have it. Because then as Hopper's watching her, and he's like, "Oh shit, no, you're too early." She grabs onto that guard tower, and that guy looks at her. And she's like, "Sorry," snaps his neck. I'm like, "Well, there you go." Yeah, you can also do that, I guess. Whatever. you fail the stealth check and whatever. You can always just snap their neck, I guess.
I do feel like Elle's got powers that are comparable. You mentioned WandaVision earlier. She's got powers that are comparable to Wanda Maximoff. Why does she have to jump? Why can't she just, like, instead of having the red sparkly shit come from her hands like Wanda, why can't she just kind of like levitate herself over there and land gently? Why does it have to be such a clunky movement that she got to jump over the fence and land on this metal roof and risk being found out?
I was wondering if they were trying to, because they kind of said that with was it Dr. Brenner in the last season, when they said basically like, yeah, you could basically learn how to fly at this point. I'm like, that'd be kind of wild if she can just start levitating and doing stuff like that. I mean, I know it's kind of got the Superman thing where no, Superman originally did not fly. He could leap tall buildings in a single bound. I'm like, maybe that's what the joke is. She can do these like force jumps across like the military wall and get in. But I don't know. I feel like maybe at this point she would have. I was hoping that like she's gonna have this crazy, actual unlock of her powers and be able to, essentially just float in there and stealthily work her way around it. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like she's basically Wanda without the ability to cast spells and shit like that. At least not the same way, but whatever.
Can't get in people's heads and shit. Yeah,
but we do get the first kind of face to face between. Let me find the picture. I have it here between General K / Sarah Connor and Hop. kind of a cool little scene where she's toying with him a little bit, which I thought was pretty dastardly. I enjoyed it very much. Well, her kind of playing with her food a little bit, but no better person in the world that can play with the food the way that Sarah Connor can. Yeah. But that was kind of interesting scene. You learn a little bit about the monster, that she's found some way to kind of, at least environmentally, kind of control its actions and things like that. She didn't seem too bothered by it. I feel like she's been in there with it face to face before. But that was an interesting start to the face to face relationship between these two. What do you think of that scene?
It does kind of hilariously have a symmetry with something that happened in the previous episode where, Hop had that other soldier tied up and pinned down with Elle getting into his mind, and it's like kind of torturing that soldier, and he's like, look, you just gotta tell me what I need to know and I can make this stop, like you know how this is going to work. And hilariously, now the tables got turned on Hopper, and that's kind of the situation he's in now, where he's in a chokehold from this monster, and she's just there like flipping the cold and the heat on to like, yeah, I can control this thing, and actually it is holding back right now because it's docile in the heat, but if it gets cold it thrives, and she's turning it down on him. Like, damn. And she said the same thing, like, look, I can make it stop, you can just tell me what you're doing here, like, what's your deal, dude? And I mean, she does just kind of have that cold mentality of like, yeah, I could let it choke you, whatever, I don't care because I don't really know you. She'll find some other avenue, I suppose. But yeah, like you said, talking about commanding a damn scene, like obviously it's Linda Hamilton, so she does have that kind of calculated but just kind of nonchalant attitude about it. So yeah, interesting how the turntables, hands on the other foot now. So
Tech says he's calling it now. The reason Henry can't go in the cave is because that's a place in the real world where something happened to him, and when he created the Upside Down, that was the soft spot. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. It could be the weak point. Yeah.
Well, it kind of goes along with what I was thinking. Like, maybe that's where he segmented all those things, those memories that make him vulnerable, so that they can't touch him while he's doing his bidding. So as long as he stays away from that area, he's always going to have the power to do the shit that he wants to do. He's not going to have to mess with, like I said, his kryptonite. So that kind of coincides.
It could be like, like you do bury, that could be like that subconscious of his mind where he buried like some bad memories, and that there's something obviously in there that's highly upsetting, even to him. I was wondering how like time worked in this thing. I'm like, is this like the same amount of time, or like, because I was wondering how long had Max been in there, and I don't know how much time she's had to kind of tiptoe around and explore it if she found anything in there to maybe help. But I'm hoping there's something.
She said that she had gone through a lot of these memories. I mean, it starts in the nursery, for lack of a better expression, of the lab where all the kids' dead bodies laying around. She walks to another door and finds herself in the hallway of the school where she finds the flyer, and then another door to another memory. She said that she had gone through many of them, so she's been there for a while. I don't know if she's been there for 18 months or however long she's been in a coma in the real world, but. I mean, time perception. I don't know. She didn't mention it when she was talking to Holly, but I am curious as to whether she's just been living in there for 18 months. Because if you're living in a spiritual kind of in between world, do you need food? Do you need sleep? It's like
that's what I'm like. You're not technically alive. Yeah, because I'm like, well, how have you managed to sneak around here? Because I'm like, who else was here? Was it just Henry and then her, or like? Because it seemed like when she said, like, she's like, oh, when I noticed you were here, it's like, is she the first person you've probably seen since then? Like, or I don't know. Like, because he said there were, as Will said, there were like 2 other kids that were in there at this point, at least. So I don't know where the hell, where are they at? I know this thing is apparently the size of Hawkins, I assume, or at least this wall is. So I don't know. Because like I said, it seemed like Holly was the one who was important. So maybe the other 2 kids are elsewhere. I don't know.
Well, they haven't mentioned any other missing kids that I've caught. It's just that he's after kids. So if there's a couple other kids in there, who are they and where they come from? Because you figure that somewhere around the beginning of the season, you already would have had 2 kids missing, because it starts out he's going after Holly and gets her, and then they figure out that he's going after Turnbow, chubby douchebag kid, and
dipshit Derek.
Dipshit Derek. Then it's go after him, and then he's going to go after multiple kids, but it doesn't say anything about him already having 2. It doesn't say there's 2 already missing. Will doesn't identify the 2 kids. He just said there's kids in there.
Yeah.
So I wonder. I mean, I don't know where those kids come from, which is odd. I figured they would at least mention them at some point over the course of the season, but they didn't for whatever reason. Also, I don't know how much you read about like aliens and strange places and shit like that. Did you notice? I don't have a good shot of it, but the cave that they're hiding out in, where Max has set up her little hangout spot, it's got like an M-shaped opening. I don't know if you caught that when they're looking at the view. There's this very famous M-shaped cave that is somewhere out in the desert somewhere that one guy found and then took a picture of it and tried to go back to. And when he went to go back to it, he disappeared. This is all real life stuff in our world, real shit. And somebody else who was hiking that area found his belongings, his cell phone, his backpack, and a bunch of other stuff, but didn't find him. And supposedly this M-shaped cave, which has never been found again, I've heard everything from it's an entrance to an underground alien base that the U.S. has been hiding. I've heard that it was some portal to another dimension. But the fact that this guy went you can Google M-shaped cave and you can read about it.
Actually.
There's articles all about it. I thought it was interesting that I wonder if they're going to play with that lore a little bit, because the M-shaped cave is something that a lot of alien people and conspiracy theorists about other dimensions and things like that. I thought it was funny that opening of that cave was shaped like an M, because that was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, the M-shaped cave, because I just watched a video a week or 2 about it, about the guy who went back there to try to find it and went missing, and like a bunch of his shit ended up missing. Like somebody broke into his house after he left to go back on that final trip and took a bunch of really unusual items that wouldn't usually be taken during a robbery, and they left things that normally would have been taken, like some valuable things. And the thought is that all these things that were taken were somehow attached to his search for this M-shaped cave. But it's great. Like I said, Google it one day. It's an interesting read. There's some, if you just go to YouTube and type in M-shaped cave, you're gonna find a couple of videos about it too. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that that opening right there was kind of M-shaped. I don't know if they're going to use that lore as kind of part of it. Like that's how Vecna that's kind of where something started. That's a portal to the between the real world and the upside down that he doesn't know about or whatever. I don't know, but it'd be interesting if they use that kind of lore to explain why it was M-shaped, or maybe it's just a weird rock formation and I'm reading too much into it, which is also entirely possible.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because I read way too much weird shit and watch way too much YouTube, so maybe it's just my brain is fucked up.
Well, when I search M-shaped cave, and of course, the first thing I see is the internet's pinnacle of truth and justice. Fucking Reddit comes up first and said, "I think I found the cave." Yeah, and like it doesn't exist. The guy Kenny was a compulsive liar. You can tell by his voice, yada yada. Because I'm a internet fucking sleuth, whatever the fuck. I'm like, I don't know, whatever. I'm trying to actually like look into it, like get some, get something to kind of put my footing here before everyone just goes like, yeah, no, it's not real. Like, all right, let's hear him out. Let's let him cook.
But I mean, like I said, nobody's been able to find the cave since this guy apparently went out there by himself, which is weird, and found it, and then went back home, told a bunch of his friends about it, and then went back out with some. As I recall, he left with some like video equipment and some cameras and what to try to document.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, wait, where's all the
never came back? Yeah. And they just never came back. And I guess some hiker found his bag and his phone, but didn't find any of his equipment. Didn't find him. He just kid this finished on face of the earth. So I don't know. Could be nothing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just. Maybe it's because I want to believe crazy shit about this cave, and that's why it got stuck in my head, and that's why it came to me. But yeah, let's talk now about it all goes sideways. I mean, obviously Hopper and Elle get, Kay catches them, and they do eventually. They've got Elle in custody. Let's see, that's the wrong one. We're going to get that in a second. But for some reason, Hopper gets the drop on Sarah Connor, which is something that would never happen in real life. But Sarah Connor's way too trained for some podunk sheriff from Hawkins, Indiana, even though he was special forces.
He was in Nam, man. You weren't there.
He's seen some stuff. He's seen some things and some stuff, man.
He's seen some things.
He wasn't just a grunt.
Stranger Things.
He wasn't just a grunt, but yeah, he gets the drop on her, and of course, Elle is still hobbled by whatever sonic alarm system they've got going on, and he's trying to figure out how to get in there because at this point they still think it's Vecna that's behind that vault door. This whole sequence gets crazy really, really fast. I mean, from when he escapes the tentacles of whatever the hell monster is in there to this point right here, kind of a lot of crazy stuff goes on. I mean, a lot of buildup. What do you think of this buildup? How crazy was this scene to you?
Well, you're finally in there, and you have probably the one person that could maybe give you an answer. And again, now the tables have turned again. Or now he's got Sarah Connor in his like arm bar and got her gun to her head. I mean, yeah, Hopper's at least smart enough to like, yeah, I'm not just gonna cap her right here. Obviously, so he kind of gives her a chance to maybe like give us something here in return, give us something to go off of. Like, of course, she's not gonna do that, but. So you always pick plan B, where Hop's like, yeah, well, I'm just going to take your ID badge. We won't be long. Just knocks her the fuck out. Just pistol whips her across the mouth. Like, yeah, there you go. That always works. Yeah, because I'm like, there's still something to her character. Like I'm not going to be mad, but more Linda Hamilton. So I feel like it's obviously not the last of it. The last that we're going to see her. And we do get that. I guess we can kind of talk about that. The very heavy-handed, like, oh, Hop's probably going to die now scene.
I wish I would have gotten a picture of that. I was trying to find one on IMDb real quick, but they don't have it. And the site that I go to, I'd have to do way too much digging. But I don't want to spend an hour trying to dig up one picture. But yeah, that was interesting shit.
Yeah, that was kind of deep because I'm like, man, if he's gonna, I don't know. It's still that when he tells her, like, look, I don't. You are still kind of the big playing card of this whole thing. It's like I can't let you go just waltzing in there up to someone like Vecna and risk, we lose you. It's like, well, then what? Because I mean, well, we don't know the thing that happens at the end yet, but that is your one, thing you want to hold on to. You wouldn't want to risk it. So, but also, I don't know what Hopper thought he was going to do. Just walk in there and just, suicide bomb the fucking Vecna. But, Man, there were some strong emotions there between him and Elle, and he even just shuts the door on her, and damn, and it sucks that she couldn't do anything about it because the sonic emitter is still going off. Well, eventually it doesn't, and then we do get a reveal that I was kind of like, I've been saying it for the past, I don't know, fucking what, 2-3 seasons. Because I'm like, hey, you mentioned a thing like a while ago, and you just kind of fucking forgot about it until now. You're like, oh yeah, by the way, that's a thing. Here it is, and we're not going to explain it still. So I know you have the picture of it, because I'm not gonna lie. When the door opened, I was like, who the fuck am I supposed to? What? Like, why was that so drawn out? I'm like,
it took me a minute. I was like, who the fuck is that?
I was like, am I supposed to know who that? And then you show them again. I'm like, oh yeah, well you had hair, and they do the thing where they buzz your hair off. I'm like, oh okay. So I'm still confused. Like, what? So it was that girl that she found from like season 2, where she found out there were others. Because I'm also like, we keep showing this whole like, it's like the fucking Order 66 thing. Like, we never miss a fucking moment to fucking always keep. Hey, remember all those Jedi that died? We're gonna show you again. We're gonna show you all those Jedi getting murdered. That's an important fucking thing. I'm like, I know it is. I as much as I love Batman, I don't need to see Batman's parents die every damn movie. I understand that. Every time Star Wars comes out, they're like, hey, remember Order 66? Yes, I do. I don't, So we keep showing this moment of what happened in the lab when all the kids died. And I'm like, right, but then you suggested that there were other people that I guess, were they in the same batch of kids? Were there other kids apparently? Because they didn't get massacred, or they somehow escaped and we never saw it, or I don't know what. There was a whole thing there that I thought was really interesting, that there were other people like Elle that were just out in the world. And then we just kind of forgot about it in season 2. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now three seasons and about 20 years later, you figured out, oh no, here they are, or at least one of them. Yeah, it took, if they had done that flashback, I was like, who the fuck's that? And then now that it's in context, I'm still like, well, wait, why? How? What does that mean? I turned into that Jennifer Lawrence meme. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know. Yeah, hopefully she's there to help, maybe try to help them out. Jesus.
Well, I mean, I thought it was interesting because it's like over the entire course of this show, this entire series, like the one storyline that a lot of people, even hardcore fans, didn't like was Elle's little turn to the gothic fucking gang. A lot of people were kind of like, we could have done without that little diversion from what she needs to be doing to go be a member of the fucking gothic.
She's having a little punk ass rebellion stage, whatever.
So that's why I thought it was interesting that, I mean, it makes sense in the fact that she's out there in the world, and if you can't get 11, you may as well get 8, who's got roughly the same powers, roughly the same whatever.
Yeah.
So you could probably do with her what you could do with 11, but I thought it was funny that they would revisit that, considering that so many fans just didn't like that entire 2-episode arc where Elle was out there being little fucking emo girl. So I thought it was interesting that you would go back to that. And now, as I was watching it, like I said, as that scene first opens up and I'm seeing that person there, I'm like, who the fuck is that? It took me a minute to even remember that's who it was. And then when Elle flashes back to the girl, I was like, oh, that's who that is? Is that girl? I had completely forgot about her in the last 2 seasons. I mean, 2 seasons.
Why didn't? Because I'm like, you just left that story there. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think one of the reasons why they left that story there is because fans hated it. So they were like, we're just not really going to go back to that. I mean, I thought, I was like, yeah, it happened in the show. It wasn't the coolest thing they could have done. I would have done it differently, but I mean, yeah, it was there. But when she
it was the
first
point that there
walks
were
up
other
there,
people.
Yeah, that she walks up there, and then you finally see her up there, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And then I see Elle's flashback. I'm like, oh, that's who that is. And I was like, that's who that is? I mean, why are we going back to this? I mean, I guess it could have been a loose end that you never tie up, but I mean, who really would have noticed if you'd have never gone back to that? But like I said, as I was watching the scene play out, I was kind of thinking to myself, well, it kind of makes sense. Because if you can't have Elle, if you can't get a hold of her, I mean, you may as well go get 8, and maybe you can get out of her something comparable to what you think you're going to get out of 11, but you can't seem to
Well,
find her. So whatever.
in the whole, what was that in season 4 when we finally saw when Elle was back in that bunker trying to get her powers back? I guess for real, or like actually, since I guess she was apparently nerfed or whatever the hell was. I don't know what was going on with that. They were actually trying to like unlock her full potential, and she's seeing the flashbacks from when she was a kid, and there was all the other ones. We know one is Henry, but he was much older, which is weird. So I mean, maybe he was just like one that they found. And then you had like 2, who was the bully that bullied 11. But you have this whole line of kids, and I'm like, well, if I'm assuming you got 2 through at least 11, I'm like, 8 is in there somewhere. You didn't just skip one. I don't remember her being there, so, or that being explained. Like, where did she come from? When did this happen? I don't. Maybe we'll finally get an explanation. I don't know, because I'm like that was more of the interesting plot point to me with that in season 2, or I'm like, oh, there are other people like her. That's kind of crazy. And the show's like, yeah, isn't that kind of crazy? So anyway, I'm like, oh, we're just gonna leave. You're gonna have like one episode with her and then just piss off and never talk about it again until now. So I don't know. Make it make sense. Because if there's no more Stranger Things, please make it make sense.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of Stranger Things that's going to come out. So I mean, I assume they've got good ways. They've got good ways to tie all this shit up. But I'm trying to find the good picture, a good picture of when she recognizes that he's got his Al Qaeda vest on.
Yeah,
because that was an interesting moment. Like part of it, I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, when the hell did he get a chance to put this vest on? Because he was wounded a minute ago, and she's the one that helped dress up his wounds. So,
well, I figured when he geared up, he went in there with that. He probably tucked under all of his clothes and then went in.
Well, when she sees it and he asks about it, he says it's just a failsafe, and I'm like, well, okay.
Well, I guess he could have like pulled up like the rest of the vest, like because he got stabbed in his side. Like he could have pulled it up with his jacket, and like you wouldn't have seen it, I guess, because this part just like right here around like his chest. I don't know.
Yeah, I finally found a decent picture of it. I don't know if I want the close up or. Yeah, this is the best picture I can get. But yeah, I wouldn't want to wear the vest from Al Qaeda's warehouse. You'll love the way you blow up. I guarantee it.
Well, Hopper's taking a lot of chances when you think about it because he's getting shot at by the other military guys. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of ballsy, wasn't it? Because I don't know, if someone hits some real sweaty piece of dynamite and it goes off, that's game over, dude.
Well, I thought it was weird because he says that it's just a failsafe. I'm like, failsafe for what? Like if you're on one of these crawls and you get caught, you're just going to take out as many guys as you can, or is it because you want to? Is it a failsafe that you're going to go in there and you're going to roll up to Vecna, be like, El Akbar, or El is good, whatever,
or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and blow up Vecna. Would that even work? I mean, I would imagine that just like Jason Voorhees, you blow him up, and then magically his shit all just recombines. He stands up and goes, "Christ, 20 more teenagers." But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he was supposed to do. But obviously, he goes in there. He finds 8 and walks back out, and he's like, and that's when Elle goes in there and does that. That was a pretty cool moment, though. He's just like. Him going back at his memories and remembering everything he went through with his daughter and all that, making sure that he's not going to lose a daughter again. That kind of made sense. Mm-hmm. But and then the big shock, it's not Vecna in there. It's actually number 8, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really does something cool with this episode. Kind of needed to do in order to set up everything that's coming for volume 2 and eventually the finale. It's like, wait a minute, here's a bunch more big questions that you're gonna have to think about for the next week until this comes out. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, it answers a few small questions, but asks a couple of really big ones that are going to make me wonder what the hell's coming for the rest of the show. But let's get down to the final battle. I mean, good God, there has been fewer entrances that were as badass as when Vecna decides he wants to roll up into.
I fucking called it.
What do I do with the picture, David? I moved some pictures around because I wanted to try to keep them up where I could find them easier. And now I lost where I had the one. But yeah, there's a whole lot that happens in this scene that is pretty damn wild. Where did I?
Obviously, I hadn't seen this. Oh god, I'm digging the new look. Honestly, holy shit, that was cool.
Well, I thought it was interesting the way they built it up, where Elle's slowly walking to the door, and you see this portal opening, and you see the figure, and I'm like, I don't think this is what they're portraying it as, but I can't tell you exactly what it is. And then as you realize that Elle's walking up on number 8, who's locked up in that weird little contraption, and then as that portal, that door starts to open up, and you can see it's definitely not Elle. I was like, ooh, this is Vecna rolling up into the real world. And then Vecna with this badass. And I swear to God, as I like in the back of my mind, I was hearing the Empire walk. Dun, 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 dun.
Like, this is, obviously I hadn't seen the episode, but that's literally what I saw in my head when I described it. I'm sure I was like, it's gonna be, trust me, cinematically, it's gonna be the coolest fucking thing, and I hope I see it. I'm like, it's right in the center of town. This gate is gonna open up, and Vecna's gonna walk through like a fucking boss. And even during this, I even said it. And right when I said it, I said that. He's going to walk through like he's fucking Darth Vader. And he picks some dude up and just throws him to the side. I'm like, yep, there it is. There it is.
There's the Vader move.
I'm like, oh my. I'm just like gushing. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I saw. Like, that's so badass. Have this one guy just walk out and just waste everybody in his path. I'm like, yep, there it is. Holy. Yeah, that was some Darth Vader-esque type shit.
Yeah, that was the entrance that I wanted for Vecna in every way.
Yes. Like, he's gonna walk right into fucking town square of Hawkins, and like it doesn't mean anything to him. He just pick him up and throw him to the side. Jesus.
Yeah, the fight was it was definitely something. I mean, obviously, like everybody's in danger. I mean, this was the one point where I was like, we're probably going to see a death here. I feel like a Demogorgon is going to get a hold of somebody's ass. And yeah. I was like, is it going to be Mama Wheeler? Is it going to be
Mike?
And that's not right. Is it going to? I didn't think it was going to be Mike. I figure if Mike is going to go, he might be towards the end.
Yeah.
I feel because I feel like the really significant ones, it's Mike and Hopper. I feel like if it's gonna be either one of those characters die, it's gonna be closer to the end. It might even be in the final battle with Vecna. But
yeah. Even Lucas was getting put on his ass in the tunnel too. I thought, oh shit, trying to protect the last bit of the kids that were.
Oh yeah, but I'm trying to find the. I mean, there's so many. Fucking crazy visuals from that whole battle alone, and gone on about it for days. But yeah, it's everybody's in danger at some point. The underground, because obviously in trying to help the kids escape, they get found out by the military because this plane was never going to go off without a hitch. But yeah, so underground you've got Demogorgons down there trying to go after the kids that were still in the tunnels. You've got them going after the kids that were already in the truck. You got them going after the last couple of kids that hadn't gotten out into the tunnel yet. So you've got 3 different groups of people all trying to fight off one or more Demogorgons that are trying to get the kids. And obviously, the end, all of them fail. I mean, they get all the kids, but it was a crazy 3-direction chase of all this kind of crazy shit happening. Not to mention them going toe to toe with Demogorgons. I mean, what are your thoughts of that sequence other than mine, which were pretty much like, holy shit?
Yeah, I think holy shit sums that up pretty well. That's, yeah. And even though, it's, you can have a whole garrison of these fucking military guys just mag dumping on Demogorgons, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not going to do anything. I'm like, man, it's going to look pretty damn cool, though. It's going to be one crazy fucking battle in the streets. Watching these things just run through the town, jump off a roof, grab somebody by the neck and just slam them into the fucking ground. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is what I was kind of expecting. It's going to spill over into the real world. And yeah, you got the military going toe to toe with all these Demogorgons, and everyone trying to not also get swiped in the process. Kind of rewinding a little bit. I thought that guy that L like got into his head. I thought he died, but I guess not. So I was like, I guess we didn't really see it, but I was hoping that was the case.
Well, no, he gets in a place where they had him locked up. I forget exactly what happens to him when because he is trying to he does have a gun eventually and he's trying to clear the building. I'd have to go back and watch it again. I wanted to try to watch it again today before we did this, but I had no time. I got home.
Yeah, I thought he died there, but I'm saying like the guy. I'm like, again that head military officer, whatever the shit, was in the battle too, and I'm like, God, I hope a Demogorgon eat your goddamn face off. Fucking can't stand you, like, because it's. And as it was going on, Rachel was like, "Yeah, you realize it wasn't 11 now, don't you? You dumb shit." I'm like, "Yeah." And they always learn too goddamn late. And then I'm like, "Yeah." Then you're gonna get whacked by a Demogorgon. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm like, but it's gonna look cool. I don't know if he died, but I was like, well, there's kind of the end of that. I don't know if they wiped everyone else. Steve will be the death. Someone.
Well, I don't know who's gonna die.
Jonathan. I thought maybe even him.
Maybe I don't necessarily care who dies. I just want the deaths to be handled right. I know there needs to be some. I feel like the one that's probably going to die is Hopper. I feel like it needs to be emotional. It needs to be heroic, and I feel like Hopper's the one. Joyce possibly. I still think there's an outside shot that Elle ends up dying while taking out Vecna.
It's probably gonna be at the end, like the Harry Potter thing. Like they both can't survive, so they're both gonna end up dying.
I mean, yeah, Steve is definitely someone who could die. Nancy, the more I think about it, Nancy dying would probably be extremely significant and emotional. But I mean, we're not there yet.
Here's the thing about Hopper, though. It's like, remember, everyone else still thinks he's dead. So I'm like, having him die and then him still actually being dead and still, as Joyce told him, like you're the hero of Hawkins. Like, you know, everyone thinks you're a hero for what you did at the lab. I'm like, then having him actually die, it's like, well, you still died a hero either way, and it's like it's be kind of awkward to explain. Like, yeah, no, he was alive, and then he died, you know, in some heroic action at the end. So he already is, you know, dead to, you know, most people. So, and just kind of laying low at this point. So I don't know.
I would like to see him actually be looked upon by everybody as a hero, like not just in Hawkins, but like because I have a feeling that once all said and done, every news of what happened is going to get outside of Hawkins. The government may not be able to control the spread of information at that point. So having him be the central figure, you know, they're going to rename it, you know, Hopper High School in Hawkins and stuff like that. There's going to be some homage to his efforts. If he dies, if he doesn't die, then maybe the military is going to be like, "Hey, we'll give you a couple of bucks. You just live in Hawkins and stay quiet for the rest of your life." I feel like I feel like it'd be more heroic if she or if Hopper actually dies. Let's see. Tech says that Steve, Hopper, and Will are my prediction of major deaths. I don't think Will's
right
dead. Yeah, it could be. I think Elle's death would be more significant. Elle won't die, but she'll give up, use up her powers beating Vecna. Like that's a possibility. If she dies, I think that's the best way to have her die. Is in heroic fashion, you know, strapping, you know, grabbing the guy and, you know, riding the bomb on the way down, like in Dr. Strangelove, that kind of thing.
Strangelove.
Yeah, that would be the proper death. But yeah, that whole scene was wild as fuck. I actually had to pause it for a minute and like rub my eyes. I was like, oh, okay, I need to catch my breath and hit play again. There was a lot of shit going on, but yeah, there is some major shit that goes on in this one. Let me go back to my pictures and shit.
Yeah, especially one important thing that I read. That's the part that was spoiled for me, but I was still not sad that I saw it play out the way it did.
I think early on when they started to advertise this season, they had released some pictures that some people were kind of like, wait a minute, why is Will reaching like that? Why is he doing this thing?
Why is Will up in Vecna's face? Yeah. There it is.
Why the picture come up? Okay, there it is. Apparently, Will has now been touched by the hand of Vecna. However, this
show me where in the upside down that Vecna touched you.
Yeah, really. I don't know why. Okay, finally it's there. So I can see it on my screen. But yeah, I'm not
Holy
sure how this all works. It's like Elle got experimented on, and that's fine. We understand how she got her powers. But just because Will was captive by Vecna for a while, he now has similar powers?
He was the first one that he tried to fucking work on, because he said, like, you were the first one that made me realize potential. So he tried to, like I said, he literally and figuratively, like, planted a seed into Will, like, to try to use him for some means, and to where he got to what his plan is now. So in doing that, maybe that is some sort of, like, because when he pulled him towards him, he's kind of, it was almost like a Darth Vader asking Luke Skywalker to join him, like, join me, we can overthrow the Emperor, we can rule the galaxy. That's kind of the vibe I got from that. That maybe he's like, yeah, you see it now, like you see the Demogorgons, you see through their eyes and shit.
Well, possible, but I feel like that if that was the case, that when they were, I have the picture somewhere. The hell I do with it?
I mean, he is also the wizard of the group, so it kind of.
I shouldn't have moved all my damn pictures around like in the middle of the stream because I had for that. But right. I had a picture of them face to face. I don't know why it's not on here. I wonder if it didn't load earlier when I was loading everything else. But yeah, if so, why is it when Vecna rolls up in here and pulls Will over to him and they have this little conversation, that why didn't he take Will with him when he went back into the Upside Down to try to finish the training, to use the Jedi parlance, since where we're at now? That's the comparison we're making. Why didn't he? Yeah, why didn't he say, okay, I'm gonna flip whatever switch I got to flip with Will, so now you're doing my bidding, and I've got, apparently Holly is wrapped up somehow too. I mean, 2 other kids. So I don't know why he didn't take Will with him, if that was the idea, that he was going to be the Sith apprentice, so to speak.
There's too much time that's probably passed. It is kind of, again, to use the Star Wars thing, that they didn't want to train Anakin because he was too old already. It's like, because he even says to him, like, why did I pick kids? Because they're weak, they're vulnerable, they're easy to manipulate. And he tried it with Will, and Will ended up escaping. So I'm like, there's probably too much time that, like, Vecna's probably feeling like, I probably can't use you in the same way I could any of these kids. You've already been through this dance and you know too much. I assume that's why. It would be harder for him to, I mean, Will's supposed to be like 15, 16 now or something. So
something like that, yeah.
So he's like, it's probably harder to break a teenager's mind than it would be, well, maybe not. But, then it would be like a kid who's like, 9, 10. So I don't know. It's like there's remnants of something there. And I'm also kind of like, when they mention, like, oh yeah, we always use this one chick who has like these powers. That's how we get by with most of these situations. I'm like, right. But now you're dealing with something bigger. We kind of need more of that kind of thing in this, again, in this D&D party. We need some more people with some magic wibbly woos coming out of their fingers. So, yeah, as we now have with Will. And the thing I got spoiled that I saw is like, there was a weird thing they noticed, like, Elle always goes like this with her hand. She goes outward like this. They said Will goes this way. He had his hand upside down, like he was drawing power out of him, not necessarily like. Basically, he's force pulling instead of force pushing. There we go. I love that picture. That is kind of cool. That he's kind of using it in that way. That it's a little more, not necessarily passive, but it's like siphoning, not forcing outward. Interesting duality between like him and like, say, Al or something.
One of the things that was interesting about the part of the sequence is when Will does release his power, they kill all of his friends, and he ends up killing the Demogorgons in a similar way that the people that Vecna was trying to get, like Chrissy and all that. He ends up killing them the same way, by like their body, like their arms and limbs kind of breaking and imploding inside, and then the things just drop dead. That makes me wonder, does he have the powers that Elle has, or does he have the powers that Vecna has? Because Elle has never been referred to as being part of that, quote, hive mind that they've been talking about Will being connected to. So is Will somehow drawing Vecna's power and preparing to use it against them, or realizing that he can use it against them?
I think that's kind of what Mike and Will were talking about, where he's like, or there's some point where Will's like, I'm not Vecna. I'm not some like murderous psychopath out to like enslave the world. And he's like, yeah, but so it's like maybe he is actually the one who can use his power in a good way. Because yeah, Elle was just experimented on. She didn't have a face to face with Vecna. That's part what makes it different. Will might have a little bit more of Vecna's type of power. But again, he's trying to use it for his own means, not like he's not doing what Vecna's doing, obviously. Different motivations. So also that picture, I mean, as cool as it is, as somebody who does do horror stuff and wears contacts, I know those fuckers had to be really, really uncomfortable. And you can't see shit out of those. Trust me, I've seen people wear the foggy like zombie eyes or stuff like that, and those are probably scleras that go over his whole eye.
Yeah, I figured you were probably. I figured that like you and Rachel would probably key in on something like that, because I know I've seen you guys wearing the contacts for effect several times.
Yeah,
I know that you're probably looking at this from a practical effect perspective, like, oh.
Yeah, God, I know it's probably. I don't know if how much he was just standing there. I'm like, you're probably not having to like walk around or do stuff. Like we're in the dark. I don't know. It's hard enough to be able to see. I'm like, yeah, those I know had to be a pain in the dick, because like again, that's probably a full eye contact, and that's a whole other kettle of fish. But I was like, man, it looks cool, but man, you kind of suffer for it a little bit. Trust me. And it could have also been CG'd. I mean, there's that cool shot. Like I don't know if you have it, like where he's on his knees, and then he looks up and like wipes his nose off.
I was just pulling that up, actually.
Yeah, his eyes go from the white and they kind of fade back into like the color in his eyes. I'm like, they could have also been CG'd, so who knows? But yeah, if he was wearing contacts there, good God.
I would imagine he was probably wearing contacts for the close-up shots, but as they zoom in on him a little bit as he's wiping his nose, that was probably
and his eyes go back to normal. Yeah.
But yeah, that was another thing that I was thinking of as I was watching the scene play out. I'm like, wait a minute, is he going to come back to being Will, or is he going to stay like in fucked up? I want to snap off some Demogorgon mode, and of course he does eventually kind of come back, which is interesting because what did Texture say? He said, damn, click on the wrong shit here. Let's see. He says, from what I've read, powers are similar to Rogue from X-Men. He can absorb from others, and that's why he does his hand like he does. But here's what I don't understand. Yeah. There's nobody powered in this world except for Ellen Vecna.
Well, so 8, apparently.
Yeah, but up until we see her in this, we didn't even remember that she existed in this universe.
I know.
Did Will ever really know anything about her? I mean, Elle said I went and hung out with some other people. Did he tell Will specifically that it was another person that was experimented on? I mean, because I don't know.
I mean, they did live.
Like I said,
she did live
really
with them for a while, so maybe they talked. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just odd to me that they would go back to. I mean, yeah, granted, it ties up a loose end that is just out there from a couple seasons ago. But like I said, it was that one storyline there. I don't want this whole goth thing.
I'm looking at Sorcerer on D&D. Hold on, I'm continue.
I mean, well, another thing that gets me is we've talked about it kind of already. We figured we would have seen at least a significant death by now, if not one of the big characters like Hopper or Elle, certainly maybe one of the secondary characters. Everybody's still alive to this point. I'm kind of surprised. I really thought that. I mean, I part of me kind of expected this to be the Empire Strikes Back of this season, that this was going to be the cliffhanger ending before, here in a week or so when we get volume 2, at least the next 3 episodes, that would kind of leave us, kind of hankering for more after seeing a significant character die, but no character deaths, which is kind of a surprise to me. Are you surprised that we haven't seen a significant death yet?
A little bit. I mean, there is still more to come. There's what, two more episodes next week, and then the one big one at the end.
Well, I think there's 3 episodes dropping on Christmas, and then they drop the finale on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So there's still plenty.
Still plenty of time for something to happen.
I mean, we've got 6 or 7 hours of content still coming from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
so there's time.
and like we've been saying, it could be something at the end. There could be some big with this final showdown with all of these people in Vecna. It's like there could be somebody that's going to end up biting it. So I don't know. It's nice to have at least the full, to again use D&D terms, with the full party involved for this final battle. Because I mean, you don't want to. It's not quite like where you can come back like in D&D where you can get kind of get revived. There's necromancy, but this seems a little more grounded. Where like, yeah, you die, and that's kind of it. So if anyone's gonna die, it probably will be at the end, unfortunately. But I don't know, unless like I said, someone like I thought like maybe Jonathan would like bite it or something, where it's like it still has a meaning to it, but in the grand scheme of it, it's not like someone like Elle or Hopper, whoever.
I cannot spell. But yeah, who do you think is? I mean, who do you think is going to be the first significant death? There's got to be one. If there's going to be one, there's got to be more than one. Who do you think is going to be the first one?
See, because I don't want to say it's like somebody like a main person. That's why I was saying someone like Jonathan, or maybe I'm not trying to undermine Joyce, but I'm like, man, that would be one hell of a thing for Joyce to end up biting it somewhere near the end. But it could be so, like we've been saying, like a pretty significant one like Hopper. But it'd be in a heroic act. It would mean something, not like the Wheelers getting attacked, like where it's like, oh, we're just gonna waltz right in here and it's like take them out. It's like, whoa, okay. First of all, rude, but yeah, I don't know.
Part of me thinks the Wheelers are still, or not the Wheelers, but the Wheelers. When they got hacked up by the Demogorgon a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
I feel like they're probably still alive. I think that in the epilogue of all the chaos, because the last few minutes of the last episode are probably going to be like a where are they now epilogue kind of
everything afterward.
Where they're going to be, the aftermath. I feel like seeing them kind of in the hospital on the road to healing is going to be one of those things that kind of makes you feel good when it's all said and done. But then again, they could be dead. I feel like the first significant death, I like the idea of Steve being the first, because I don't think that what's his name, the other guy, the one who's actually Jonathan. I don't feel like Jonathan is as big a character. I feel like if Jonathan died, it would probably go unnoticed a little more. And also, I feel like that if Nancy is going to live through this, that having her have her boyfriend at the end of the day is probably going to work out well. But because they are a thing, him dying might be significant. Maybe that's one of the things. I know you haven't seen the trailer for the next volume yet, but maybe that's one of the things that makes her go full Sarah Connor, because when she pops out of the top of this Bearcat looking thing, she's like in black clothes or dark colored clothes, and the fucking bandolier of grenades, and she's whacking away with an M16. I mean, she goes full Sarah Connor. Maybe that's the one thing that sets her off. But I feel like the first significant death, if it's Steve, fans the most, because anybody else would be significant, like Hopper, Elle, they can't really, if they're going to die, fine, but they can't really happen narratively till like the final battle of Vecna, so we can put them off the list of the first death. It can't be Mike. I feel like if any of them are going to survive this, Mike and Lucas are most certainly going to survive it. Those are my two candidates. We don't quite know if Max is going to make it out of the fucking netherworld.
Yeah, I'm wondering about Max.
Does she officially die? Because we haven't. Because there was a scene in the trailer for the first volume that we never saw in the first 4 episodes of Lucas getting her from the hospital,
carrying her
out with the fucking boombox in one hand and him carrying her in the elevator. We haven't seen that scene yet, so something's going to happen with her. Maybe Vecna's going to figure out a way to get to her, and maybe he's trying to keep her away from Vecna so she can come out of it on her own. Max could still die. I mean, Holly is not exactly out of the woods yet. I mean, Holly could die. That would be significant. She's been a significant player throughout this entire season so far. The first one, if you want to hit hard, I feel like Steve is the right one.
Well, but the thing with Steve is, though, I'm like, that's why I said Jonathan, is because I'm like, well, I'm still like, You still lied to Nancy, man. You didn't tell her about the whole college situation where you're like, yeah, this is going to be an awkward conversation that we're like, yeah, we're not actually going to the same place. So he didn't really seem too, worried about that, apparently. I'm like, Steven Nancy still had that scene in the last season where he said, like, yeah, he's like, I had this, this like dream, this vision of like, getting a camper and having a couple kids and, uh, going on like vacations with my family. He's like, and you were there. Like, he's like, Nancy, you were the one that, I had that, you know, had that dream about. I'm like, right. What did Jonathan do? He lied to he lied to her. I'm like, I don't know. Because I'm like, him dying, it's like, well, I guess now you can make that happen if you're trying to have this happily ever after stuff, like Mike was saying with Elle. Like, yeah, we'll go off and do our thing. And like I said, maybe Dustin goes out to Salt Lake City and finds fucking what's her name on the radio. I don't know. We all have a happy ending to some degree. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe when we get back to doing this in a week or so, that we'll be able to talk about the first significant death from episode 5. Not exactly sure what that's going to look like, but I'm excited for it. I don't know. Before we get out of here, let me get your quick thoughts on just Volume 1 as a whole. Has it been everything you've wanted? For the start of this final chapter of this franchise, or are you disappointed by anything?
It's like I said, it's been a good build up because like we're getting to this final confrontation with the big bad. He's working his magic in the background, getting ready to strike. At this point so far, I'm like, I'm liking where we're at. I again do still have more questions of so we're gonna go back on that whole thing with 8, right? And are we gonna explain that? Because why was she behind that door and then like 11 couldn't like see her, right? Because I'm like, there's a lot of questions there, and I'm like, A, what's she doing there in the first place? And like, B, why wasn't 11 able to see her? Or like, what was going on? Where is she maybe the key to it? Because like I said, we need more of these people that are actually have these powers. If she's maybe if maybe because those do seem out of place, and as dipshit Derek put it, oh my god, are those laser beams? Which was funnier than hell to watch him do that. Maybe that's how they figured out how to get that kind of technology to kind of have a workaround for people like 11. Maybe 8 is kind of the key to that. So maybe she would be a pretty instrumental bit of like, hey, maybe if we used her power, maybe we can kind of at least hold Vecna down for at least a minute so we can get in there and do what we need to do. So I don't know. That's just a theory. A game theory. For all you Matt Pat fans out there.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've been thoroughly impressed with this season so far. I mean, it's been kind of like no holds barred, all out. Everything is going to come to a head like right now, which is cool. I love the way they're handling keeping the. Sorry, I'm trying to do a little something here, but I love the way they're handling. I mean, again, there's not a lot of character development that is needed because we all know the characters, so they're just like, we're just gonna go balls out and we're gonna run right to the end of this thing.
We're running up that hill.
I love the way they're handling that. I have a picture of the M-shaped cave. A couple of these pictures didn't load for some reason, but whatever. But yeah, I love the action of it all. I love the fact that the characters are hitting their individual culminations. I even, as much as I've annoyed by the whole Will is gay storyline, I actually thought that at least narratively and cinematography related, they actually did a pretty good job of at least exploring a little more. I mean, this conversation was kind of cool. It wasn't anything blatantly obvious, but what made this scene really cool to me is when Robin is climbing down into the tunnel and she kind of sees it. She's the only one who's in the know. So her kind of like cracking that smile, I was like, maybe this is finally getting close to its culmination and we can move on from this whole thing. But I'm curious to how they're going to wrap all this up anyway. But but yeah, I thought it was much better. I thought it was much better done in this episode than it has been in prior episodes. I still wish they just fucking get to it because I'm tired of them kind of tap dancing around it. I also love the conversation that Will and Robin have in the in the tunnel.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Will has somebody that he can at least try. They can try to understand. I don't think that
That's what I was saying. Robin needs to be that person he can relate to because they're kind of going through the same thing.
Yeah, I get it. And Robin's a couple steps farther down the road than he is. But
yeah, she's like, I've accepted it. Yeah, she's like,
but like I said, the problem is he can't have what he wants because if Mike's going to live through this thing and if Elle's going to live through this thing, Mike can't leave Elle. They're the couple. They've been the couple since episode like 2. It's like I don't know how you'd be able to make that work and not have it look like it's forced. But whatever. Or maybe he just won't. Maybe I think it would be an interesting culmination to that if Will at the end of the day just decides, you know what, I'm just going to leave things the way they are and I will not say anything to anybody because if Will and Mike and everybody lives through this and Lucas and Dustin, I would like for this wrap up. Like it would be cool if the final scene to me was them just playing D&D in the basement like they were at the very beginning. Like that would be a perfect evolved, wore out you beat Vecna and whatever, and then just like one by one that you see like, and then it cuts to the last scene. The light flickers on in the basement, just one by one they walk down, and it just like without words they set up the D&D board, and then like they all kind of look around at each other, and then the camera focuses in on Mike, and he says, "Okay, here's the mission," and then as he goes to start reading the D&D thing, it cuts to black and credits roll. That's the perfect coming full circle moment for me. I think that'd be great. They did kind of the same thing with Star Trek Picard. It's like the final scene was them playing poker like they had done so many times over the course of the series, and the credits were rolling as the camera was just kind of rotating around from the air and watching them play poker. I was like, that's a perfect ending for this, and I think that'd be a cool ending for that as well. If again they all live, which it's up in the air. But I've loved what they've done so far. I'm excited to see what the rest of this brings. Tex was saying that there's not too many episodes left. They got to get to it earlier in the chat. I disagree. I still think there's plenty of time. Like I said, we've got 7 hours.
You forget each episode's like fucking 5 hours long or some shit.
So and I think the last one's fine. Yeah, and the last one's going to be like 2 something. I think from what I've read. So we got time. There's still plenty of screen time left to complete this story. So I'm excited I'm glad of what we've gotten so far. The visuals. I mean, a couple of visuals I didn't even really get to. I mean, like the one cool death. Where's the hell's the picture I have?
Where the guy got stabbed through the back of the head with
this dude right here. I was just like, that's some great horror shot right there. That is fantastic. I saw that and I was like, ooh. I was like, if Tex watched this episode, that's his favorite shot. That's his favorite shot.
I think, Tex needed to change his pants after that one. I think I did too. That was
and then the one with the Demigorgon just steps on the guy's head, which I was like, oh, that's great. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
that's just
ruthless. Some good horror stuff in that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely some really great visual shots in this episode for sure. But yeah, I love what they've done with it so far. I'm excited to see what's coming. Part of me, like I like the fact that I've been able to not give in to temptation. You just sit and watch it all once, and I've been able to slow roll it. Say there could be a spinoff at some point in the future. I don't know, but I like the fact that I've managed to not run right to the end of this because, like I said, my oldest son, he watched all 4 episodes the night they dropped. And for like a week, he was like, "I need you to watch all 4 episodes so I can talk to somebody about it." I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to savor. I'm trying to enjoy because they're giving me some good savor." But good stuff so far. We got a week to kind of like reset our brains and kind of process it all before we get back into this stuff. But I'm looking forward to getting back into this when they drop this stuff in about 9 days. We're a little more than a week away from Volume 2, and then of course New Year's Eve is when they drop the big finale. I'm definitely probably going to go see that in theaters on New Year's Day. But we're going to go ahead and wrap things up there. Again, it's been a solid 4 episodes so far. We're both eager to see what the rest is going to bring. Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Well, I'm here Tuesdays, Thursdays, talking all the, your favorite movies and TV shows and all that good stuff. So pretty sure Thursday we are going to do something for Rob Reiner. I know that's been kind of a big thing in the news this week. That's been kind of what shook up the entertainment world there a little bit. So maybe by then we'll have a little bit more information to go off of. But I think we talked about doing a retrospective with like what we did with Werewolf with Lex Luthor. God damn it, I can't remember his name.
Gene Hackman. Yeah.
Gene Hackman. Yeah. So maybe do that, and then Fallout. Fallout technically already released today because
yes, it did. I read that today that they had moved the release date up a day, and I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. We'll get to that on Tuesday.
Yeah, that seems out of nowhere. The day before you're going to do it, you're like, here's it a day early because we definitely got caught using AI for our recap, but whatever. I'm like, God damn Amazon. I still love Fallout, so I'm going to watch the show. I'll watch season 2. But do better, please.
But yeah,
we'll that'll be Tuesday, I think. Next Tuesday, Fallout.
Yeah, but yeah, so Fallout does come out tonight. I will probably watch it over the course of this weekend. But as Jeremy said, we will be back here on Thursday. We had we didn't mention the loss of Rob Reiner tonight because Jeremy and I were texting back and forth about it. We thought best to just take one of his better films. We'll just go ahead and do the review since we kind of had a spot to fill in the programming. And why not go after one of the great films of all time, The Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner?
Yes.
Obviously, we'll give you some thoughts on his passing. We'll have our own little retrospective, discuss his life and career while we break down one of the great films of all time, The Princess Bride. Looking forward to doing that on Thursday, and then of course on Tuesday, probably Tuesday, maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't know what the release schedule is for Fallout. I don't know if they're releasing one at a time.
Is it all Wednesdays again? Maybe
I don't know, but I know Tuesday we'll definitely be doing episode 1 of season 2 of Fallout. I'm excited for that. Season 1 was fantastic. Even not being as versed in the video games as Jeremy is, I found that show to be amazingly entertaining. It was a great watch.
Right.
So having Jeremy around, so having Jeremy's nerd boner around to help feed my. Yeah, to help me with the reviews of that is great. We're looking forward to getting into that, and so Stranger Things off to a solid start for its final season. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks going on for the rest of this year into next year. Usually we take a little bit of a break in January, but I think we're going to have to go into January a little bit to take care of Fallout and Stranger Things and stuff like that. So maybe we'll put our little sabbatical on the back burner and maybe do that later in January, because there's a whole lot of stuff to talk about, man, between Stranger Things and this, and we have Five Nights at Freddy's in, and there's other stuff that needs to be discussed. So the rest of the year, you've got us, man. We're going to be breaking it all down for you. Thank you, my friend, my Header Life mate Jeremy, for coming here and being awesome as always. Thank you to all of you for coming and hanging out. We very much appreciate it. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Friday. Rest in peace to Rob Reiner. We'll go into that more again on Thursday. Till then, adios. And yes, Casey, I saw your damn comments, but I'm not gonna showcase comments about your wiener. I'm way too classy for that. I'm way too classy for that. Well, most of the time. Not all the time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there were a lot of dick jokes in this episode that got a little obnoxious.
There were. It was 80s. You can get away with a lot of jokes like that in the 80s. You can't do it now.
I suppose.
So, period.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.